I hear Urban Meyer is fired, and then I read the story, and it's like after what happened with Josh Lambo, I'm like, what? And then I looked at your story, and I read it 3 times, and I'm like, I cannot, like, what? Like, he kicked a kicker, like, and then asked him the next day, when are you going to put a smile on that face? And it just struck me as so outrageous.
Nobody is disagreeing the event happened. It's just to what degree. If we're talking about how hard he kicked a guy, that's not a great argument on his behalf, in my opinion.
I'm not gonna lie, when I woke up today, I did not expect to see Urban Meyer as one of the top trending things in football news. As a matter of fact, I kind of did a double take because I thought the man may have gotten hired for a new job for a second, but we got an update on Urban Meyer. It's not a really good update if you're a Jags fan, but at this point, if you want to just sit back and laugh at the story we got, I think it's a pretty interesting story. Before we get to the content, we're giving away $500 to a subscriber that turns on our notifications on this channel. We're giving away an additional $500 to a follower of ours on Instagram. Now that we got all of that out of the way, break! Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? I have always defended the Jacksonville Jaguars' decision to hire Urban Meyer. I mean, look, I feel like there's a decent amount of luck that goes into every head coaching hiring. I mean, I remember at the time when the Los Angeles Rams hired Sean McVay, everyone commented on how funny of a hire it was considering how young McVay was. Little did you know they were blazing a trail for other head coaches. All of a sudden, Sean McVay's head coach factory started right then and there. You have other young coaches like Kyle Shanahan, who had a different route but has a similar story to McVay. And of course, they worked together in 2013 in Washington as an assistant head coach and was treated horribly by Jay Gruden. You have Matt LaFleur, who is coaching Aaron Rodgers currently. More recently, you have Brandon Staley and then Mike McDaniel and then Kevin O'Connell. Needless to say, the young head coaching movement has been a thing for a decent amount of time ever since Sean McVay came into the picture. It seems like that set a brand new trend in terms of what type of head coaches these teams are looking for. And with Urban Meyer, I understand the philosophy. You want to go after a successful collegiate head coach that meant a lot to the state that you're playing football in, and maybe that'll instill some hope in a team that hasn't had hope in quite some time, and who might feel nostalgic about the fact that the last time this entire state felt good about football was when Urban Meyer and Tim Tebow were doing their thing in the late 2000s. And I'm gonna be honest, there's been instances of ineptitude with head coaches, and there are times where head coaches need to grow with the team. At the age of 57, Urban Meyer's a significantly older head coach, and I think this was his best opportunity to see whether or not he could be the head coach of a NFL team. You have an opportunity to coach one of the most transcendent quarterbacks since the days of Andrew Luck and Peyton Manning before him and John Elway before him, and for the most part, that team is relatively young, so maybe some of your collegiate coaching style may translate over. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case because what would ensue after this is just a series of events that would make Urban Meyer look bad, from him staying back after the Jacksonville Jaguars lost to the Cincinnati Bengals to the next day getting filmed at a bar, touching some young woman's crotch despite having a wife and kids, embarrassing his whole family on national TV. And then there were articles that came out about him that inevitably got him fired. For example, the kicking incident with Josh Lambo, and more recently, this huge expose article from The Athletic by Jason Jenks and Mike Sando called "The Most Toxic Environment I've Ever Been a Part of Inside Urban Meyer's Disastrous Year with the Jaguars." Now, this opens up with some very light stuff that, to be honest, maybe it was just Urban Meyer's way of trying to, I don't know, be a strict disciplinarian. I don't know how to rationalize this. It opens up with saying that Urban Meyer burst into a room full of players at the Jaguars facility, and he was furious. One of his players had missed an assignment during a preseason game, leading to a busted play. Meyer was enraged when it happened, and a day later, he was still fuming. If the mistake ever happened again, Meyer warned, he would cut every single one of them. So this is consistent with reports we've heard in the past that Urban Meyer took preseason way too seriously. He would berate his head coaches over it. He kicked Josh Lambo in the middle of practice for missing a field goal during preseason.
Comes up to me and he says, "Hey, Dip, another word, make your effing kicks. And then proceeds to kick me right in the leg, right in the hamstring. And literally kicks me in the hamstring. Hey bud, make the kicks. Wasn't one of those. It just wasn't. It was so much so I couldn't believe, and I looked at him, I said, don't you ever kick me again. So I'm the head ball coach, I'll kick you whenever I want.
This is consistent with that report. Meyer would say, do you know what would happen if I cut you guys? You couldn't get a job paying more than $15 an hour. Now, the implication that his players weren't capable of more than just playing football left some of them angry and others offended. One veteran player said, I lost all respect for him after that. The article then continues to give like a little bit of a background to Urban Meyer before we read that the environment in Jacksonville was the most toxic environment I've ever been a part of. By far, not even close, according to a veteran member of the football operations staff. The Lions' new receiver DJ Chark said that Meyer routinely threatened to fire coaches and cut players. He feels like threats are what motivates. I know he would come up to us and tell us if the receivers weren't doing well, he wasn't going to fire us, he was going to fire our coach. He would usually say that when the coach was around. So it seems like he was just a bad guy to the entire team. Nobody liked him. It didn't seem like a guy that you really wanted to go out to war for, because if you're a head coach, he's berating you for not coaching the players well, and if you're a player, he's berating you for not playing well. The article brings up the Josh Lambo kicking incident, which is something that Urban Meyer's lawyers even acknowledged to be true.
They had plenty of advance notice about what that story would say, and they were just trying to refute it as best they could, but no one said that he didn't kick him. That's the interesting part.
Lambo believed that Meyer's kick reportedly was an act of intimidation, which was a theme that was echoed by several people in the organization. One player described the year with Meyer as mentally exhausting. Now, the signs of dysfunction were apparent early on. Several sources said that Meyer stepped into the job as if he had all the answers, even though he had never coached in the NFL. Meyer said that he conducted a 6-month deep dive on the NFL that included interviews with his former Florida and Ohio State players, as well as a study of the salary cap. And this is probably the most viral part of this entire article, and I don't know how true this could be, because I feel like if you are a head coach on any scale, you know who these players are. But apparently, multiple sources said that Meyer was unfamiliar with star players around the league, including 49er receiver Deebo Samuel, Rams defensive tackle Aaron Donald, which was a 3-time NFL Defensive Player of the Year, and obviously the biggest star of them all, Jamal Adams.
Jamal Adams. I'm the best in the nation. Best in the nation. I'm the 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 best in the nation.
I don't know how you cannot know who Jamal Adams is. But jokes aside, he went as far as to say, who's this 99 guy on the Rams? I'm hearing he might be a problem for us. I don't know if I believe this, man. I'm sorry. You can't be that ignorant at your job. You can't be a head coach and not know who number 99 on the Rams is. I'm very skeptical about this. There is no way that Urban Meyer doesn't know who Aaron Donald is. Now, in his first staff meeting, Meyer criticized the way NFL teams operated, noting specifically that coaches failed to take proper care of players' health. And then, according to multiple sources in the meeting, Meyer said, I hate scouts. Scouts are lazy. It was an especially jarring comment given that scouts were also in the room. So just more of him berating his coaches under him and his scouts and his teammates and the players that are playing for him. Chark said that the year started with optimism. Jacksonville players turned out in high numbers for voluntary workouts, eager for the new season under Meyer. But the way he was running the ship, it was impossible to succeed. In training camp, Meyer pushed for live contact drills despite objections from veteran coaches. One of those drills fell on what Meyer called winner and loser days. 2 players would compete, and the winner would be announced over the loudspeaker. After one blocking drill, Meyer insisted that Chark do extra reps. The receiver suffered a broken finger, underwent surgery, and missed the entire preseason. Meyer also forbade players from speaking with opponents on the field before games, once claimed that the Jaguars lost because they dressed sloppily, and told offensive players that he wanted them to dunk the ball over the goalpost after touchdowns, even though doing so would draw a fine from the league. But more than Meyer's coaching quirks is the way he treated people, particularly troublesome in the organization. So he's pretty much telling players to blatantly blatantly break the rules, and it just seems like he's out of touch with his job in general here. Now, it starts to bring up Trevor Lawrence, and that's what I'm the most interested in. Not long after veteran receiver John Brown signed with the Jaguars as a free agent, he ran the wrong route in practice, and to correct the mistake, Brown, who is from Florida, and rookie QB Trevor Lawrence ran through the route again after practice. Meyer walked up to the pair. "Hey Trevor, you've got to slow it down for him. These boys from the South, their transcripts ain't right." Oh my God. Wow. There is no way. That is the most unnecessary way to berate someone too. I mean, what kind of development is that going to get for you? You know, like if you want to make fun of I guess, I don't even understand this, but like making fun of the way a person kicks or making fun of the way someone catches a football is one thing. Maybe you could get him to potentially change the way he catches footballs or runs routes. But just out of nowhere insulting him because he's from the South is so disrespectful and uncalled for and unnecessary. You're not going to get anything from it. Now, another time during a meeting that also included members of the coaching and personnel staffs, Meyer berated a player so harshly that the player cried. According to two sources, Meyer slammed the door after departing the meeting, leaving others to console the player. The next day, one of the other staff members present confronted Meyer about the incident in what one source described as a heated exchange. Sources said that Meyer repeatedly belittled his staff to his members' faces. He told his assistants that he was a winner and they were losers, which we've covered on this channel extensively. I would bring this up so many times every time we did a video on Meyer, and then demanded that they defend their resumes. One player said it was coaches that often looked drained whenever they left staff meetings with Meyer. The players got it bad when it came to him talking to us, but I believe the coaches got it worse, according to a veteran player. You've got players in fear that they're going to lose their jobs, according to DJ Chark, and you've got coaches who he belittled in front of us, and I can only imagine what he was doing behind closed doors. I'm surprised that he lasted that long, to be honest with you. Now, the real reason why I think he lasted this long is the fact that Shad Khan is doing his best to give the individuals that he hires a chance, because he doesn't want a situation like the Cleveland Browns, who were jumping from one head coach to another, and same with quarterbacks, by the way, and I guess you can make the argument that they still are, but sometimes he does that with the wrong people. And in the Urban Meyer situation, I feel like Urban should have been fired after the crotch grabbing incident. And it's clear that the issue here is Urban Meyer is coaching these NFL players like they're collegiate players. You might be able to get away with some of this stuff to a student that isn't making millions of dollars to play football, but you can't get away with this when you're talking to grown men and veterans. Now, it brings up the crotch grabbing incident, where apparently Meyer looked shell-shocked in the locker room, and he told the players that he had nothing to say. Neither coaches nor players, however, realized that Meyer didn't board the team flight that night. It wasn't until a video emerged over the weekend showing Meyer dancing with a young woman in an Ohio steakhouse that players and coaches learned that he had stayed behind. Multiple sources said that Meyer went from position group to position group, telling players that the woman in the video tried to lure him onto the dance floor despite Meyer's refusal. But according to two sources, soon after he had left one position group, a second, more provocative video became public, throwing everything that Meyer said in doubt. I feel like mistakes are a great opportunity to really show your character, and in this instance, the only way you could get any type of respect from something this ridiculous, especially after you were this hard on all your staff members and all of your players, is to take accountability. Say, hey, I'm a dumb. You know, I am lucky to still have my job. I really hope this doesn't alienate you guys and you guys will still go to war for me. I know I've been a little bit hard on you guys. That's mainly because I want to win. I guess I'm capable of making mistakes as well, and I hope we could all move on from this. Something of that nature. Now, it brings up the incident where Marvin Jones and him got into a fight that was so heated that Jones had to leave the team facility. In late November, Meyer would tell reporters that receivers were running the wrong routes. As NFL Network's Tom Pelissero reported, the comment so enraged veteran receiver Marvin Jones that Jones left the team facility. He eventually confronted Meyer at practice, but was diplomatic when he spoke to reporters about the incident. I'll just say this, there was something that was brought to my attention that I didn't like too well, according to Jones. But again, Meyer would meet with players and deny that he ever made the comment about the wide receivers, even though, according to a source, a player in the room had video of Meyer's press conference pulled up on his phone. Meyer's grip on a team continued to slip. In a December game against the Rams, second second-year running back James Robinson fumbled on the opening possession, the second straight week in which he had fumbled. Get him out, Meyer told his coaches during the game. He's done, put Carlos Hyde in, he's not playing anymore. This is something else I didn't understand about his tenure there. He had this obsession over players that once played for him. You know, like Carlos Hyde and Tim Tebow, which this article didn't even bring up how ridiculous it was for him to have Tim Tebow playing tight end. I mean, bring him in as an assistant coach. Hell, bring him in as a QB coach. Maybe bring him in as an assistant to the QB coach if you want him to be in the locker room and you want him to have a role and maybe learn a new profession. Don't make him a tight end at the age of 33. It seems like the entire theme of this is Urban Meyer would 100% refuse to take accountability for the stupid he does. And like in the James Robinson situation, I'm sure you guys remember, he said whenever he was asked by reporters what's going on with James Robinson, he said, you'd have to ask Bernie that. I don't get too involved. I don't micromanage that. In a staff meeting the next morning, according to multiple sources, Meyer denied ever telling his coaches to bench Robinson. He said his assistants had misinterpreted him. I feel like he put us in very bad positions, and when the questions came, he deferred the responsibility, which made it look like we were just out there being the worst team in the league, but we weren't put in a position to succeed. Shark and others agree that Meyer hampered players, most notably Trevor Lawrence. Trevor is a great quarterback, and he was not put in good position. He told us from day one that he was going to maximize our value, and I truly can't tell you one player that maximized their value on the Jags this past year. It wasn't until Urban Meyer getting fired on December 15th that he would take responsibility for his stupidity, because he would then say in an interview with Dan Dakich, it was his own fault for the team losing. It eats away at your soul. And he was apparently so depressed that he would just stare at the ceilings. And the article concludes with players feeling relief when Urban Meyer was fired. I think this was a very interesting article, a little bit random to be honest, but I'm really excited to see how the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to do without Urban Meyer this year. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about all this, man. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike. I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.